This is Marsha Stonehill with Melt the Ice. Today on Operation F.L.O.W, I have with me Crystal Coleman. I had the privilege of meeting Crystal at an event. It was at the Motown Christmas event at the Fredericksburg Expo, right?
Yes.
And that was in December of 2022. And it was just a pleasure to meet you. It was you are so vibrant. It was an instantaneous connection. And I immediately thought, I've got to do a podcast with this woman. So I'm going to take a little bit from a bio that she provided for me. It's a lengthy bio, and she's going to get into that as she takes the floor. But she is a natural born leader, and that is obvious. And she coaches women and young girls through virtual webinars, in-person events, masterminds, and corporate trainings to amplify confidence through faith, beauty, and business principles to transform their passion to purpose. Crystal is also the author of her first book titled Mastering the Steps to Become Whole for the High Achieving Woman. The book illustrates 10 steps to help women push past challenges to create the lives they want to see, more wholeness, clarity, peace, and prosperity. It doesn't get any better than that, Crystal. So thank you so much for being a model and example for women in our society. And please tell us what inspires you.
All right. All right. Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here, first of all. And I feel the same way that you felt when I met you. There was a connection. I could tell that you were more of a fire sign, warm spirited and just friendly, just like myself, so I believe that's why we connected. But I've been in the service business, I would say mostly all my life, because I started, actually, I'm a hairstylist also. So I actually started out doing hair when I was younger, like about 8, just doing the neighborhoods. The little girl next door started doing her hair. So I started out serving then. And back then, you didn't get paid that much money to do any hair. So I always had the gift to serve others. And then I journeyed my way through the military. Military, we serve our country. And so I did that. And then once I got out the military, I became an entrepreneur. I was like, well, I might as well do something that I enjoy. I enjoy making people look and feel good. So I went and got my cosmetology license when I was stationed in Fort Bragg, and went to school at night. And so, and then after I went to Desert Shield, Desert Storm, I figured this is not what I want to do anymore. So I switched it up and got out, and I've been doing hair ever since. And I seen that there was a greater need to serve, because, you never know where God is going to take you in your journey. You never know. So for me, cosmetology was more of artistic, just the artistic part of it, the creativity part, because I'm a creative. But then when I got into actually doing hair and introducing myself to the lives of others and everything they had going on, I was like, there's a greater need here. There's a greater need. I start to see how, because women tell the hairstylist everything.
Yes.
They do. They tell us in confidence, but I wanted to better serve, and I wanted to be in a position where I could handle it all, because you have to make sure that you got the skill level, and what you don't have, I would refer them to people like you. Okay. A psychologist, a psychiatrist. I'm a coach. I help you with your goals. I help you to be accountable to what you say you want to see. And so there's a difference. But what I found along the way was that there was so much anxiety and trauma. We put on this pretty face every day, because we have to go to work and, we have to serve. But I found that deep on the inside, there was like childhood trauma, that people were dealing with that affected them from going to the next level. Yeah. It might have affected them with a job. It might have affected them in relationships. Yeah. It might affect their spiritual life.
Yes.
I had women asking me, somebody asked me, she had been abused when she was younger. And she was like, well, if God loves me, well, why did that happen to me? Mm-hmm. Asking questions like those. And so when I started getting questions like those, I was like, well, Lord, I'm not equipped for that yet. You got something else for me? And so that's when I moved into the life coaching space. I went and got certified to do that, because I was like, I want to serve my community at a greater level. I want to be able to not just be able to listen, but be able to help them with some steps, some strategy if need. And so, I thank God for that. I didn't always know that I was going to be a hairstylist. Like I said, I was in the military,
Right.
you know. So anyway, being in entrepreneurship and meeting other people and meeting young ladies, I wanted them to know that, because I was stuck once myself, you on this journey and then you find yourself getting stuck.
Okay.
I was stuck as an entrepreneur. Now, trust and believe, I platformed for Bronner Brothers out of Atlanta. So I used to do hair, travel and do hair. So I did hair in Europe. I was in Germany, stationed in West Germany. But then, you go around and you find yourself, like in between somewhere and nowhere, because what happens is our jobs don't validate us. Our job doesn't give us that fulfillment. It's something for us to do and to serve other people, but it's not the end all be all. It's not what people are looking for. People are looking for wholeness. They're looking for to be complete. And so that's how I ended up coming up with my book when I was in my journey, Mastering the Steps to Become Whole for the High Achieving Woman. The 10 steps. Well, I didn't know God was working those 10 steps on me. That's what he usually does. He was working them on me first before you can even, minister that to anyone else. And I am a servant leader. I am an elder in the gospel, but I'm marketplace. I tell people that all the time. I'm not your ordinary minister, because I believe that you don't have to separate. You know how they used to separate church and state? Mm-hmm. Well, I don't separate business and what God has given me in ministry. It all goes together, and so me being in the marketplace helps me to be able to serve women better. When women come to me and, they're down and depressed and, fear is a big thing. Yeah. Fear. I mean, I'm sure you've experienced that. Fear stops people from going to the next level, stop people from doing the next thing. And it could be as little as, maybe a toxic relationship, mm-hmm. and trying to get loose from that. Right. Knowing the right steps to get loose from that. Because in the hair space, of course, I've met people who was in abusive situations and they had to get out of it, and just the fear. I've actually had, I hate to say it, but it's true, it's reality. When I was stationed in Fort Riley, Kansas, one of my clients, she actually shot her husband.
Oh, wow.
That's trauma. And you never know what's going on with somebody, because she was one of the calmest, she had 3 girls. She was one of the just really nice, well-mannered. And this is not the person that you think would have done that.
Right. Right.
And so the reason why I'm serving in the gift that I'm doing is because you never know what somebody's going through just because what they look like.
That's right.
You never know, and we can't measure other people's pain that's going on the inside of them. Right. And so my book, Mastering the Steps to Become Whole for the High Achieving Woman, that book was presented to help people move past their pain points, and to move past your pain points, you need to be healed. You need to be whole. To be whole means that you're not broken, you're complete. There's nothing wrong with you. But in society, if we're feeling broken down or something like that, we go to the doctor. If you got a chest pain, you're going to go to the heart doctor. If you got, and mental health is serious. And so if you got some stuff going on up here, you need to go see a psychologist or a psychiatrist. You need to go to the doctor for that.
Or a life coach, whatever.
Yeah, or a life coach. Yeah. And so them coming to see me, because I know after I do my assessment, I know whether this person is for me or not.
Right.
And sometimes it could be something deeper.
Right.
And so when I see that it's something deeper, that's when I do referrals. I pass them on. But when I see that it's somebody who, they done already got past the trauma phase, and so they're ready to march out in their goals. They're clear. I help them get clear on what they want to do and what they want to see. And the first thing is getting clear is understanding who you are.
Crystal, I have a question for you. So, you're talking about, you and I definitely think a lot alike, in this regard. I'm wondering what your thoughts are. One of my thoughts has always been that we need to kind of not be so secretive about hardships and traumas, because then the people that are experiencing the traumas feel more alone. And then that interferes with our ability to have that resilience, to realize that so many people are pushing through so many difficult circumstances in their life. And the more it's kind of like the Me Too movement, right?
Yeah.
The more we speak out, the more we are honest about hardships, the more you're going to realize so many people around us have dealt with similar things, and they have figured out how to master it and not let it hold them back, and not let it rob their confidence, and not let it interfere with their future goals and those sort of things. And that takes a lot of determination and work and fortitude, and really, like you said, you have to dig deep, and you have
it takes humility. Humility for me. When I came out with this book, I had to decide, did I want to put my personal business out there? What I was going through.
Right.
Yeah, me. The hairstylist, the business beauty coach, at that time. And so that takes a clarity, in my mind, because I do have a relationship with God. I'm faith-based. And so I teach on faith-based principles. And so when, God is calling you to an area that you unfamiliar with, it's kind of scary, because you like, okay, what they going to think, this, that, and the other. But what I learned is that healing is my portion. And healing is your portion. And the only way we heal is we have to confront the scary thing that's in the room, or the thing that's holding you back, or the fear. Some people call it the shadow. We have to confront that, because that's a part of who you are too.
Right.
I used to say, you got Christo and you got Christelle. Okay. And I used to say Christelle was my alter ego. She's a part of me, but that's the part of me that will get you straight, tell it like it is, and just do some things off of emotions.
Right.
But I had to get healed in that area. So this book is about healing from emotional bondage. Keeping yourself hostage from your emotions because somebody didn't do what you thought they were going to do. They didn't show up the way you thought they would show up. And so I was taking that burden on. But like you said, once I started sharing what God was taking me through, how it was freeing, it's the freeing for me.
Yes.
I want people to know that you don't have to walk around with your backpack full.
That's right.
With other people's problems, with your problems. The Bible says, cast your care upon the Lord because he cares for you. But what we do is we go back and get it. But I tell people we have to get us some growth friends. We got people we can dance with and have fun with. But do you have anybody you can pray with?
Did you say grow friends?
Grow friends. Grow friends, growing together in grace, because we're not perfect.
That's a neat phrase.
Yeah. Grow friends. We have to seek out grow friends.
That is true. There are certain people that will support you in going deeper into your own healing. And then there are others that, because they're afraid or on there themselves, they may inadvertently, block that process for you, not necessarily even consciously, but just out of their own fears of addressing things within themselves, because you can't support someone else and going deep into themselves and finding wholeness and recovery if you're not on that same path too.
Yeah. And so how I try to get people on that path, I start them off with the basics. What is your belief and value system?
Right.
Simply, you don't have to believe how I believe, you know what I'm saying? But what is yours? What is your foundation?
Right.
So we have to peel that onion back to really discover the you and you. That's what I call it, discovering the you and you. Okay. The you that God created, before the beginning of the world, before sin came in the world. We're spiritual beings, and so understanding that, even people who are not Christians believe in spiritual world.
Oh, absolutely. There's many different ways to look at spirituality rather than just the lens of Christianity. And I think hearing you say that you offer that flexibility, that you're not going to impose Christianity on anyone, that you're going to respect any spiritual beliefs that a person has table, but
Yeah.
the whole idea is to find that the
To
real,
get them to wholeness.
yes,
Right. To get them to wholeness. But I am clear that I'm a faith-based
sure,
organization.
sure.
I'm clear, but it's people, I have people that are in my circle, they do a lot of different things. And what I found out was that everybody's seeking wholeness, but everybody have a different path to it.
There you go.
But my path, because I believe in Jesus Christ as my personal savior, he says Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. So I talk about sustainability. I talk about, I let them really give me the answers on what's their belief in vice. And I don't put mine on them. I just give them a framework to try to figure out what is theirs.
Okay.
And so with that said, I had a girl, she told me, she said, she always called me pastor. I was like, God ain't told me that. But then she said, you don't be judging either, because I'm not here to judge. Who am I to judge?
Even in that regard, I think women have a tendency, or people in general, to judge themselves.
Yeah.
Not just that we're judged by other people, but we put such a harsh judgment on ourselves. And we also have to become very disciplined about not refraining from that.
Yeah. I have a framework for that too. It's called Get Amped. I said, we getting amped over here. And so Get Amped means understanding awareness, your mindset, your power within, execution, and discipline. And discipline is like applying some spiritual disciplines to your life, or applying some practices to your life that can help you, create new habits, And so those disciplines aren't always Christianity disciplines, you know what I'm saying? They're just daily disciplines, to create new habits, to change from what you're doing.
There you go.
And yeah, so the whole premise that I understand my gift, I understand my assignment, and every day God is expanding that. My assignment is to soar and fly high. My assignment is to share my gift with other people, with other women, so that way they know that they don't have to be stuck. You don't have to live in overwhelm. You don't have to live in confusion, not having a clear pathway forward. And I don't want to even sound so I don't want to sound, politically correct, because we're all on this journey. We're learning. I'm a lifetime learner.
Yes, we all are.
We all are. But what I can share with them is the freedom that I've experienced.
Yeah.
The freedom that I've experienced is being free, because what the enemy meant for bad, God turns it around for good. And so I try to teach them the psychology of it all, or the spirituality of it all. Your reality is not your reality. We live in a visible world and an invisible world.
Do you want to elaborate any further on that?
Yeah. That breaks down the man, body, spirit, and soul. Body, spirit, and soul. And so I tell them to close your eyes. When you close your eyes, you still thinking, even though you can't see, your senses is telling you, I don't even have to see what's around me. But once I close my eyes, I'm remembering what's around me. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? That's when we start visualizing your imagination. Mm-hmm. Your imagination can take you places that your eyeballs can't. Okay. And so, I love one of the scriptures that says, casting down imaginations that so easily beset you, so then guess what? You got to create imaginations to make you feel good. Okay. You got to do the opposite.
Yes.
We keep telling ourselves the bad stories that what happened to us. Okay. It's not just the person out there. It's, I can do it. You can do it. It just depends on what it is and what day it is. None of us are exempt. But we have to learn some frameworks to, create good habits and to make us feel better in a better space, to make us feel complete, to feel whole. But the thing about it is, what I like about God is, you don't have to feel whole. He just said, if you believe, you are whole.
Okay, there you go.
It's not about how you feel.
Crystal, you are clearly extremely motivational and have a fire inside of you of message and hope to deliver to people. So in light of everything that you're sharing, those that want to get in touch with you or want to be able to access your book, how can they reach you? How can they get access to your book?
Okay, well, my book is on Amazon, Mastering the Steps to Become Whole for the High Achieving Woman. They can also go to my website, which is shesthetotalepackage.com. And she's the total package means that, so my foundation is Colossians 2:10. I am complete in him. So I want people to understand that you have everything that you need. You just have to discover and uncover your gifts within, and then you serve notice on things that no longer serve you. So you are complete, even if you don't feel like you're complete. But we have to discover that hidden treasure.
There you go.
Yeah.
I think that's a beautiful way to kind of wrap up this conversation. You just put out a beautiful statement, but as we wrap up, what would be your final words of encouragement in this particular podcast?
My final words, well, I love that melt the ice, because when you're melting the ice, it's like, you're not leaving anything uncovered.
That's right. Yes.
It's all here. We bearing it out. And that's how we have to be with God and with wholeness, because he knows everything. So we don't have to try to hide something in our mind, because he knows everything. And so self-discovery, I would say the closer you get to know your creator, the more you learn about yourself. And actually, I have a self-discovery journal that's on Amazon also. It's called Confidence Reinvention. It's a self-discovery journal. You can find that on Amazon also. She's a total package. Look for the brand, but it's in the confidence section, the confidence reinvention section. And that self-discovery journal is it has prompts, it has some shadow work in there, and it has some scriptures in there that maybe you can follow, just to get you in the frame of mind of, trying to operate in your higher self. So with closing, I would say self-discovery, you find out more about you through your creator. Yeah. Self-discovery. We have hidden treasures all in us. And so, God wants his people to be whole. He wants them to be healed. I want them to be healed, and I want them to be whole too, because freedom is, you can't buy freedom. You know what I mean? Freedom is being free here and being free in your heart. So that's what I would want to leave with them. Get my book, Mastering the Steps to Become Whole for the High Achieving Woman. It's 10 steps that'll walk you through wholeness, because that's about self-management. And then you'll get confidence reinvention, which once you master your steps, you will build confidence to reinvent yourself to get more of what you want.
Beautiful. Crystal, thank you so much for being on Operation F.L.O.W today. And I look forward to collaborating with you more.
Most definitely. Thank you so much too. Thank you for having me.